This video looks back to 1978 and an FA Cup encounter between Millwall and Ipswich Town. What should have been a victorious day for the Tractor Boys turned into something far more sinister and frightening. Let's hear the stories.
First, we have Ipswich Town fan Mike, who told us, "Back in 1978, I was a die-hard Ipswich Town season ticket holder living in Chelmsford. Like every cup run, I wouldn't miss a tie for the world. Didn't matter who we drew or where we played. That season had already seen long hauls to Cardiff and Bristol Rovers. So when the quarter-final draw threw up Millwall away, it almost felt like a home fixture. But Millwall wasn't just any away day. I'd been there once before, and their reputation spoke for itself. Still, I figured I was smart enough to keep out of trouble. No colours, no scarves, just blending in. We drove from Chelmsford to the East End, parked north of the river, and caught the train down. From the moment we stepped off the platform, you could sense the trouble simmering. Packs of Millwall lads lingered around the station entrances, eyeing up every new arrival. Town fans off the special trains were greeted with snarls, threats, and the occasional flying bottle. And that was before even getting out the station. The walk to the den was like heading into enemy territory. The streets were already alive with shouting, police sirens, and an unmistakable edge in the air. As we got closer, town fans were gathering in their hundreds, some trying to put on a brave face, others already looking over their shoulders. Inside the ground, it was chaos from the off. Segregation was laughable, more of a suggestion than a reality. I remember standing on the terrace, only for some spotty little 10-year-old Millwall kid to come booting me in the shins, goading me to react. Behind him, older lads were smirking, ready to jump on anyone who took the bait. I ducked into a denser crowd of town fans, trying to melt into the background. The atmosphere was brutal. You could see pockets of trouble flaring up all over. Fists flying, coins, bottles, even bits of ripped-up wooden seating being launched into rival sections. A few town lads, the North Stand boys I reckon, gave as good as they got, but we were outnumbered badly. Fights broke out just below us, a full-scale melee where even the stewards just backed off. There weren't enough coppers in the ground to deal with it. It felt like we'd been abandoned. By half-time, it was full-blown bedlam. I tried to leave early, but the police on the concourse just shook their heads. Not safe, they said, blocking the exits. On the terraces, Millwall were scrapping amongst themselves. Town fans were penned in, and every few minutes you'd see someone getting stretchered out. I can honestly say I've never felt fear like it at a football match. Most of us didn't care about the game anymore. It was pure survival mode. Late in the second half, we managed to edge towards the exits under police escort. Outside, Cold Blow Lane was a war zone. Coaches lined up, had windows smashed in, elderly fans ducking as bottles rained down. There was a point where we had no choice but to sprint. A mob of Millwall lads had broken through police lines and were charging towards a group of town fans. I saw one bloke flattened with an iron bar just yards away. We avoided New Cross Station, wanting no part of that gauntlet run, and made off in the opposite direction. Even then, we got caught in running battles along back streets. Fists, boots, bricks flying through the air. We finally jumped on a random bus to London Bridge, heads down, not daring to speak a word the whole way back. I don't think either of us exhaled until we reached the safety of our car. My mate travelled by van. He never even got in the ground, stuck in traffic while Ipswich were already 2-0 up. He told me they ended up on a patch of wasteland near the stadium where mounted police sat idle, watching the violence unfold inside. They asked one copper why the police weren't stepping in, only to be met with a laugh and a blunt reply. Anyone daft enough to come here gets what's coming. He spent the rest of the afternoon dodging mobs of Millwall yobs who'd spilled out the ground hunting for stragglers. He was a big lad too, could more than handle himself, but even he admitted it was the most frightening experience of his life, on par with being chased through Newcastle a few years later. That day at Millwall wasn't just a football match, it was a battle zone. And it's a day none of us forgot, for all the wrong reasons. Millwall bushwhacker Pete told us,
People talk about Millwall in the 70s like we were savages. Truth is, we didn't care. We thrived off the reputation. Back then, the Den was our fortress, Cold Blow Lane was ours, and anyone who dared set foot in it, well, they knew the risks. Ipswich in the quarter-final? We were never going to let that pass quietly. I was about 20 then, a regular on the terraces, proper Den lad. The week leading up to the game, you could feel it, the build-up, the hype. Ipswich were no mugs, travelling in big numbers, thinking they'd have an easy day out in London. They had no idea what was waiting. We got to New Cross early, mobbed up proper. Station was crawling with us. Me and the boys hung back behind the barriers, just watching the specials roll in. First few town fans off the train tried to act casual, heads down, no colours. Didn't matter. You could always spot 'em. The first clash kicked off within minutes. Some poor sod took a dig before he even made it up the stairs. Walking down to the ground was like a procession, more like a hunt. Every road around the Den had packs of us on it. There was a bit of a skirmish by the pie shop. One group of Ipswich tried legging it down the alleyway, but we chased them down and they scattered, left one of their older lot laying there, bleeding from a cut above the eye. Coppers came charging in, but we just melted into the crowd. Inside the Den, carnage. No proper segregation, just a few lines of stewards who might as well have been made of cardboard. I stood up on the wall at the back of the Cold Blow, looking down like a king surveying the battlefield. Town fans had a section near us, and we weren't having it. Every goal kick their keeper took, missiles rained in, coins, bricks, even a couple of old glass milk bottles someone must have brought in from outside. I remember this bit clear as day. There was this town fan, probably mid-30s, trying to stand his ground. Brave or stupid, you decide. A few of our lads slipped into their section, gave him a proper slap, and before long there were running battles up and down the terrace steps. Bottles flying, fists swinging, even saw some idiot swinging a dog chain around. Coppers eventually steamed in swinging batons, but we just laughed. There weren't nearly enough of them. Half-time came and the whole ground was buzzing, not from the football but from the violence. Few of our younger lot came back grinning, telling us they'd been scrapping under the stand by the burger vans, knocking some Ipswich about, who thought they could queue up peacefully. That wasn't happening, not that day. After the final whistle, it was like someone flipped a switch. Pure mayhem. Town were trying to pile out early, but Cold Blow Lane was a battlefield. Their coaches parked up got absolutely battered. Bricks through windows, bottles, even one idiot lobbing a fire extinguisher through a back window. I remember chasing a group of Ipswich down towards the petrol station, caught one straggler and gave him a good hiding before the old Bill waded in with horses. I never made it back to New Cross, didn't fancy the heat, too many coppers swarming. We drifted through the back streets instead, found a few more town fans wandering lost, and it kicked off again down by the garages. Someone swung a tire iron, connected with a poor bloke's ribs. He dropped like a sack. Ambulance came eventually, but no one waited to see what happened next. We ended up back in a pub not far from Surrey Docks, pint in hand before most people had even left the ground. Everyone buzzing. Proper old-school Millwall, they said. Bodies on the floor, coaches wrecked, coppers outnumbered, the Den defended. Ipswich had brought numbers, but they'd been swallowed whole. Looking back now, yeah, it was brutal, probably too much. But that was life at the Den. You came to Millwall, you didn't just come for the football. You came to take your chances, and on that day in '78, there was only ever going to be one winner. The Den ruled, Cold Blow Lane ruled, and everyone knew it. We thank Mike and Pete for their recollections. We all know a trip to Millwall is going to be an experience, especially in the '70s, when segregation was rare. So it's safe to say that the town fans certainly did have an experience they will never forget. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment if you were there. And also, share, like and subscribe as it really helps our channel grow. Bye for now.